Today we are here with Tanner Kyler, who's a junior in the landscape architecture department. And while he enjoys designing landscapes, he also has a fond passion for succulents and cactus. And you are actually helping with the design on the hardy succulent garden we're establishing. But you're responsible for kind of developing some propagation for all of that, right?
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about what we have going on here that you're propagating.
Okay, so here we have some opuntias. These are native to Oklahoma. And here we have some Cilantroppuntias, which means cylinders of opuntia.
Good description.
Good description, yes. And they grow in similar climates, and they prefer arid soils or arid environments, meaning they need really well-draining areas to survive. And they also are quite cold tolerant, up to -20, -30.
Okay, so we're finding them mainly on western Oklahoma side, right?
Yeah, if you do find any of these species, many of them are native to New Mexico and Texas as well.
Okay, all right. So a lot of times we see these and the pads just drop off and propagate. So is it really that simple?
Yeah. I mean, that's how they spread in the wild. If it's not from seeds, they genetically clone themselves by dropping off a pad or an arm into the ground, and it naturally roots.
Okay.
And a whole new plant will form.
So Tanner, where do we get our cuttings in order to propagate?
Well, you can get them from a local nursery that sells cold hardy cacti or cacti that you would like to propagate, or you can get permission from a landowner and go and collect a few of the pads off the plant. This will not harm the plant. It actually can benefit the plant by pruning it back a little bit. But do not take the whole plant or the whole stalk from the ground, as this can cause damage to the native species that live there.
Right. It can, if it dies, then there's no more to propagate from. So okay, so you've got one from the nursery that we're going to propagate here. Tell me a little about how do we get these off and removed?
All right. So right here along the base, right here, we're going to just grab one of the pads and we're going to just break it off just like that. Oops.
Okay.
And then we'll take it and we'll set it down here. But this one here needs to wait 24 to 48 hours to callus over, so it does not get a fungal infection here where it will be placed in the soil.
Okay, so that moisture kind of makes it susceptible to that fungus.
Yes.
Like potatoes, seed potatoes, you want to kind of let those heal over. So these guys have been sitting for a little while, right?
2 to 3 months actually. You can see the calluses here, and you can see roots actually starting to grow out of these opuntias.
Okay.
So yes, they're definitely ready to go in the soil.
So when we're potting these up, Tanner, we don't just need regular soil, right? What do we need to use?
We need something that can drain well, because these species are from arid regions where they don't receive a lot of rain, and if they receive too much, they will become susceptible to root rot.
Okay.
And so we want to take a generic potting mix with plenty of perlite, and then we're going to mix that with about 2 parts soil to 1 part sand to make a nice, good draining mix.
Okay, potting soil is what we're talking about, not topsoil, right?
Yes.
So, okay.
And then we're going to lay this out flat here. Evenly. You only need around 1 or 2 inches of soil just to propagate these things, because they're not going to be staying in here very long. And because they're cold hardy, we'll be able to take these and move these out into the soil soon.
Okay.
Outside.
So I noticed you have some rooting hormone. Is that necessary, and where do you put the rooting hormone? On the callus end?
That's a good question. Yeah, with the rooting hormone, it's not 100% necessary, but it does help with preventing fungal infections near the calloused areas and regions of there, and that's where we'll be putting it on. We're going to put it right here where the callus is.
All right.
So we're going to go ahead and open this up. We'll just pour a little bit in here, and we're just going to take those and we're going to give it a nice little dab in here around the base. And this will prevent fungal growth, and it'll help promote root growth.
Okay. And of course, you're wearing gloves, because even though there's not a lot of spines on that, there are some.
There's some little there's
hairs.
microscopic hairs, and they'll get all in your hands, and they're a big mess. So definitely use gloves with rubber on the inside of them.
Okay.
And then we'll just take these, and we're going to kind of bury the calloused portion in the base here, and we're going to push this down and kind of just gently push the soil around like this.
Okay.
So we want to make sure that there's plenty of contact on this pad to promote root growth from the base of it.
Okay. Now, normally I think of pads as being something like what you have over here, where it's on end sticking in the ground.
Yes, and there's nothing wrong with that form of propagation. Okay. But if you lay them on their backs here, they're going to form these, and this one already has started to grow one of its pads here, and it'll form pads in a 360-degree angle around the pad. So it will.
Versus here, you're only getting half of the circle.
So here it will start and it'll form its own little bushel here, because in nature they just fall off. There's no one there to plant them.
Right,
So they
okay.
they fall off, they land on the ground, and if they root, if they can root, they will.
Okay, and so kind of like the ones that you've got growing here.
Yes.
They almost sort of mimic nature in that they've fallen on the ground. I know you've planted them, propagated
Yes.
them, but they're kind of curling up. And then, so will they start growing upright then, or?
Yes,
the
yes,
new
actually,
growth?
they're already starting to do that.
Okay.
Yeah. These right here have roots already starting to grow, and we'll go ahead and pull one up to kind of show this. And we have roots right here that have started to push out, and once these roots start and the weather's nice outside, you can at any point take them outside. Make sure you have well-draining soil where you put them, and they should take right off.
Okay, so is there a best time to plant these, and also when's the best time to propagate these initially?
I find that propagating in the cooler months is better, whenever the plants are done fruiting and they're done flowering, so you're not to hurt the plant. Many of the pads and arms die throughout the winter due to the cold, so it's not going to hurt to take a few of the pads that are most susceptible to the freeze.
Okay.
And you take those around, I normally take them from like October to like December, whenever the weather starts to cool down. And
so after we've taken this cutting, what do we do with it, and how long does it actually take for it to take root?
so it'll vary species to species, but these Opuntias took about 3 to 4 weeks to start promoting roots into the ground, and these have been here for around 2.5 to 3 months, so they've had plenty of time to develop some really good roots.
Okay, so sort of an ideal winter project for gardeners if they
yes.
wanted to do that. Take those cuttings in late fall,
Yes.
and it's low light in your house, so that's okay.
Yes, they don't mind the low light. Actually, if you put them in direct light along the southern facing window, it might be too much for them if they don't have roots. They could end up drying up and dying.
Okay. And then they'll be ready to be rooted and everything
Yes.
to go outside come
Yeah, so
spring.
I recommend an eastern facing window is the best for propagating cacti.
Okay, is there any concern about our spring rains that we need to be aware of when we're planting them out?
Yes, yeah. Well, with these species that are native here, there is no issue with them. But if you are trying to plant a drier species that's more native to more arid regions of the American Southwest, you want to make sure that you have really good, well-draining soil, mostly composed of gravels and sands, with very little clay.
Okay.
And this, with the clay, if they were to receive too much rain, they will perish due to root rot.
Right. Okay. Well, thank you, Tanner, so much for this information, and,
Yes, no problem.
and we look forward to following the project. We hope you enjoyed this video as part of our Oklahoma Gardening YouTube channel. You can also find even more videos on the OK Gardening Classics YouTube channel. And join us on social media for great gardening tips, photos, and discussion.